Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and love and salutations to the elect, pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth, waking up the rest of the elect, so Yahweh Shai can return and save us up on out of this wicked kingdom. All right, and what you looking at on the screen is going to be how the Lord is going to return, all right, and save his elect, okay, by way of so-called UFOs, okay, because they're not aliens, they're not unidentified, they're identified, man, all right, and we know what they are. They're the Lord's chariots, the chariots that the Bible speaks of, man, okay. The Lord's chariots are spirit and not flesh, okay. So what you see on the screen comes from the spiritual realm, okay. It's way more advanced, all right, and it's on another level when it comes to the chariots of man, which is airplanes, cars, and submarines, and chariots, okay, airplanes, fighter jets and whatnot. They can't shoot one of these down, or they claim that they have, but they don't have no you know evidence, all the evidence that they do bring out is lies. They're lying. All right, because where's the what's the word? Definite evidence. The unreputable, indisputable evidence. Of these things being shot out of the sky. All right, and they come in many shapes and forms. Okay, most of the time they're seen as flying saucers. Okay, and the scriptures call those flying rolls, flying scrolls. All right, those are the ones that was described in a precept that I'm gonna bring out. Okay, and some of them look like this. Some of them are shiny. Some of them look like clouds. Some of them become clouds and they turn into something else. They hide behind clouds and all that, man. They come in triangles, different shapes, different lights, change shape, come out of the ocean, get bigger, get smaller, be fast, be slow, move in different directions and speeds that no living thing could possibly move. All right, no fighter jet can move as fast as these things can and that these things could move and turn on a dime as fast as these things can. All right, the Lord's chariots, okay, because they're spirit, okay, like the scriptures say. So let me show you this TikTok. All right, Salakia. That's the picture, all right, that they took. All right, this is the actual picture. All right, this is an AI, not rendering, but showing you the behind it. That's an actual video. But yeah, this is the actual picture. All right. All right. That's crazy. That's AI.
Big fuck off two-stroke exhaust, big fuck off radiator.
Hold on. I'm trying to find them showing you that it's real. that the picture's real. So there's a whole bunch of other bullshit that they're showing. It's like, yeah. Give me a moment, Akia.
Unless you've been living under a rock, go be. There's the it's also, and with AI imagery now being at everyone's fingertips, we have to read between the lines of, is any of these images even real? Are we looking at a
Slovakia,
Did from the alien? Do you motorcycle classic? Huh?
give me a moment. There was a TikTok that they ran it through AI imaging to see if it was real or if the image was real or fake, and the AI said it was real. You know. Give me a moment. But yeah, let me see if it's on this account. But yeah, they ran that picture through AI. All right, I can't find it. All right, and the AI said it was real. All right, Acapulco UFO.
Nueva foto de un objeto no identificado. Platillos.
It's like, I'm just lengthening the video.
Aquí tiene como.
But yeah, you know, most likely that picture is real, man. Okay. All right. And the first precept that I'm gonna bring out is a precept that I got from my brother. That I was watching this video on the same topic, and I'm like, wow, man, I didn't know about that precept. You know, Psalm 68:13. All right. It says, though ye have lion among the pots, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove, covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow and gold.
Pequeña comparación.
Okay, yellow and gold, with wings of silver and yellow and gold, man. Okay, that's talking about the Lord's chariots and how the Lord's going to return, man. All right, the wings of the Lord is his salvation, is saving his people, his elect. All right, and he's going to do that by saving, redeeming his people. All right, the elect of Israel. All right, beaming them up. All right, tractor beaming them up. Okay, so-called abducting them. Here it is. All right, into these chariots, the so-called UFOs. See, 90% likely to be real, man. All right, they ran it through AI. All right, the water Yahba Shmi Shai, and that's the same account. What the hell? But yeah, yeah, man. You know, when the Lord returns, in the midst of everything being destroyed in America, all right, these UFOs the Lord's gonna bring his UFOs. his chariots, so-called UFOs, and they're gonna so-called abduct, tractor beam, all right, his elect men, all right, and women, all right, mostly his men, all right, out of America into these chariots, all right. You know, as birds flying, so shall the Lord shall return. All right, the scriptures say, enter thou now into thy chambers, okay, and close them about thee, close the doors about thee, as it were, for a moment, until the indignation of the Lord overpass, roughly paraphrasing. And that's going to be the destruction of America, being destroyed by 200 million nuclear missiles, okay? And those chambers that we're going to be entering into is going to be these UFOs, so-called UFOs, all right, the chariots of the Lord. They're going to beam us up into the chariots, okay? And we're going to be safe, all right, with the immortal bodies that the Lord's going to change us into, all right, at that last trump, all right. We're going to shed off this mortal body and put on immortality, this incorruptible body, and we're going to put this corruptible body off, and the Lord's going to change us into an incorruptible body, all right, and then bring us into these chariots, and we're going to watch together the destruction of America by 200 million nuclear missiles, which is going to be the climax, the conclusion of World War III, which we're in the beginning stages of, man, all right, you know. And also the Lord's showing us his chariots, all right, of silver and wings of gold, okay. Yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with gold, yellow and gold, man, with yellow gold, okay. That's how the Lord's returning, okay. And the chariots, all right, sometimes, they're made out of, you know, they look metallic, okay. And look at this, man. You know, yellow, silver, and yellow and gold, man. The Lord is real, all right. The Lord ain't playing, man, all right. The Yahweh Shai is returning soon, all right. These scriptures are popping off the page. They're becoming real. That, you know, they're manifesting before your eyes, okay. All right. The Lord is showing his wings that he's going to use and cover his elect with. And it's going to be by way of his chariots, all right? The so-called UFOs. This is going to, you know, this is how the Lord is going to return. Is this not made out of, is this not silver? And looking silver-like, metallic, and gold, yellow gold? Look at that, man. And the picture is most likely real. 97% real, man. All right? Man. We serve the God of the creator of everything, man. All right. Isaiah 31:5, it says, as birds flying. All right. How do birds fly? In the sky, man. All right. Together. All right. Flocks of birds. So, all right. Back in the day, birds used to cover the whole sky because there were so many birds outside, you know. It says, so will the Lord Yahweh Shai of hosts, you know, God of hosts, defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. Okay? All right, that's how he's going to return and defend his elect. All right, save his elect. And, all right, by way of his chariots. All right? The Lord's going to return with his chariots, the so-called UFOs. Okay? As birds flying, because UFOs, they're flying objects. They're flying, vehicles. Okay, Zechariah 5:1, it says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. All right, a flying roll. And you know what a roll is? You know, like a roll of paper. All right, you know. A flying roll. Okay. All right, because, you know, they dealt with scrolls back in the day. When you roll it up, it becomes a roll. When you flatten it out, because, it looks like it's paper, you know. Okay. just imagine one of those flying in the sky, you know. All right. You know, and that looks like a so-called UFO flying in the sky, man. All right, let's get that, an image of a UFO. All right. All right. Sometimes it looks like a little slither of blackness, you know, in the sky. All right. You know, circular, sometimes a rectangular, triangle looking. All right. Zooming through the sky, you know. Behold, a flying roll, you know. That's what was being described in Zechariah 5:1. Okay, a so-called UFO. But they didn't have the word UFO back in the day. Aliens back in the day. Okay, look. All right, behold, a flying roll, you know. A UFO, man. All right, which are what? The chariots, okay. We all seen UFOs flying in movies. They look like a flying roll, okay. Not making a sound, all right, seamlessly flying through the sky, just like a flying roll of paper, you know. Okay, simple as day, man. Okay, but sometimes they could look like this, you know, because they come from the spiritual realm, and they could change shape, become different shapes, different materials. Okay, who knows what all this stuff on here is used for, you know. Okay, that's not you know, not for us to know as of right now. We'll know in the kingdom. Okay, all right. And hey, you know, it makes sense, you know, for them to be made, some of them to be made out of gold and silver and metallic materials and chrome, because hey, is not the Lord a Jake? You know, are not the angels Jakes? You know, we're Israelites, man. Okay. You know, it makes sense. You know, we like metallic, we like chrome, we like gold, we like shiny things, man. You know, that thing's decked out with all types of stuff on it. Shiny, you know, metallic. All right. You know, I don't know about you. I'd love to ride that thing in the sky, flying around. I know, you know, and we're all going to have different shapes and chariots and materials, you know, type chariots, man, to our liking, you know, just like cars and airplanes. There are different types of cars and airplanes. There's going to be, there's different types of chariots, you know, for different purposes, you know. All right, the Lord is on another level. His chariots are spirit, all right, which means, hey, they're better than what man has, what the white man has, what the Asian man has, you know, the Arab man has, what his chariots are, his airplanes and vehicles are, okay? The Lord's chariots, his vehicles are way better, man, you know? Look at that, that's decked out, you know? So it makes sense for them to be made out of metallic and, you know, silver and whatnot. You know, just like, hey, Jake likes their cars all decked out. All chromed trim. All right. Chrome rims. So I used to have chrome rim, a Cadillac with chrome rims, you know? You know, Jake just, you know, all gold Cadillacs and shit like that. Jake loves Cadillac. I mean, Jake's love chrome, you know, gold, silver. You know, we like the finer things in life, man, because we're the gods of the earth. We're not the Most High, but the Lord says we're gods. But all of us are children of the Most High, but shall die like men and fall like the princes, you know. You know, because we're gods put in mortal bodies because we have sinned and transgressed the ways of the Lord. All right, so the Lord is punishing us by putting us in mortal bodies. But that time of punishment, all right, is ending. The scriptures say better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So, hey, our time to be punished by these heathens for thousands and thousands and thousands of years is ending, all right? And how do we know? The Lord is showing us his chariots on another level, man, okay? With detailed pictures, man. Look at that, you know? So this is Luke 21 and 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity in the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud. All right. And that cloud represents, all right, speaking about his chariots, the so-called UFOs. All right. Because they dwell amongst the clouds. They dwell amongst the clouds and you know, and they're in the sky. All right. The UFOs are in the sky. Okay. And they look like clouds sometimes, man. Okay. In a cloud with great power and great glory. When these things begin to come to pass, then look up. All right, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption, your salvation is, your redemption draweth nigh. Okay, because our redemption is going to be by way of these UFOs, so-called UFOs, man. The Lord's going to come with a fleet of them, thousands and thousands of them, and they're going to be beaming up his elect. All right, okay. That's why we're going to be looking up, you know, and that's what we're doing. We're looking up into the sky. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and 1, it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. And that's what we're doing right now, man. All right. Standing before everybody, in front of everybody in the world. All right. With great boldness, preaching the truth of the Lord, of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay. And these people aren't accounting for our labors. All right. Because, hey, they're not acknowledging us telling you the truth. We've been talking about the Epstein's files and the wickedness going on in this world. All right. But when the white man tells you, then you want to believe. All right. We've been telling you this shit. You know, we've been telling you the truth. Everything that's going on, that's coming to pass, we've been telling you for decades, man. Not just me, but the men before me too, in this truth. The apostles and the elders and the men of GMS before me, okay? We've been telling you this. You know, you people are not giving us, you know, are not accounting for what we're doing, you know. Verse 2, it says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. Because these people aren't expecting, they're not looking for, all right, us, the UFOs, to be coming out of nowhere, out of the spiritual realm, with the Lord being a black man and tractor beaming, so-called abducting black, Latino, and Native American men that are preaching the word of the Bible on the streets, you know, at the end days. People aren't looking out for that, man. Okay? We're going to be, you know, being beamed up into the sky and being changed into immortal men. Okay? These people aren't looking out for that. They're not looking for that. They're not expecting that. They don't believe that shit when we tell them. And it's not shit. It's the truth. Slakia. You know? To them, they think it's shit. Because, like, oh, you're a little crock of shit for saying that UFOs are real and shit. Now people believe that UFOs are real. I mean, hey, we've been telling you that they're real, but they're not UFOs. They're not aliens. They're the angels of the Lord, and they're the Lord's chariots. You know? Verse 3, it says, and they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. You know, these people are expecting us to be destroyed. All right. You know, they're not expecting us to be telling the truth and what we're saying to actually come to pass, man. You know, because we're just regular, everyday black, Latino, Native American men preaching, just yelling, oh, you're racist. You're getting the Bible mixed up. Those are wrong. That's the wrong breakdown of the Bible when it's actually the truth. You know, Isaiah 66:15, it says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind." Okay? So the Lord is coming with the so-called UFOs, his UFOs. Okay? To render his anger to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Okay? That's how the Lord's returning with his chariots, man. All right, with fire. Okay? The nuclear missiles and also so-called laser beams, concentrated fire coming out of those UFOs, destroying the wicked of America. All right. Matthew 24:30, it says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven," all right, in the sky, "and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." I think I read this already. But hey, that's how the Lord's gonna return, man. All right, with the clouds. All right, out of the sky. All right, with the angels. Okay. Acts chapter 1:6, it says, when they shall therefore, when they therefore were come together, they asked him, saying, "Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel?" And he said unto them, "It is not for you to know the times and seasons which the Father hath put in his power, but ye shall receive power after the Holy Spirit." Okay. I'm going to read 10. It says, "And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel." Oh, no. I'm going to start at 8. It says, "But ye shall receive power after the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and and unto the uttermost part of the earth." And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he, all right, the Lord was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. So the Lord was beamed up into a chariot, okay, a so-called UFO. That's what that means, if you want to believe it or not. If you don't believe it, who gives a fuck, all right? Because this truth isn't for everybody, man, okay? It's for the elect, all right? Verse 10, it says, "And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, all right, in the sky, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." Okay, so that's how the Lord's going to return. Slakia, man. All right, the Lord, all right, he left into a chariot, and he's going to return with the chariots, okay? So hey, Psalm 68:17, man. All right. It says, "The chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even thousands of angels." All right, so because the angels are going to be in these chariots, all right, even thousands of angels, the Lord Yahushua is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. So, hey, when the Lord returns, he's going to return not with just a couple of chariots, but thousands of them, man, okay? And he's going to be riding that big old chariot, okay? So hopefully it was edifying to the elect.